So, in a recent summer, a female friend of mine approached me about the idea of going on a blind date with one of her girlfriends. And I don't really do blind dates, and I wasn't really into it, but I thought, hey, alright, any friend of yours is a potential girlfriend of mine, so I'm like, alright, I'll go on a blind date with this girl. So, this girl that my friend sets me up with, let's call her Amanda. We go on a coffee date, it wasn't bad, just a lot of exposition, like, oh, where do you go to school, how's your life, and it was alright, night ended, and she calls me back the next day and says, hey, I had a really good time yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, I had a good time. She's like, I want to take you out again on a date, but I'm not going to tell you where we're going, it's a surprise. So I'm like, okay, it's a little soon in our relationship or something like that, but alright. So the next day, she picks me up in her car, and we start driving. And I'm like, so where are we going? She's like, oh, no, it's a surprise. And I'm like, alright, so we're driving and driving, and at this point, it's been half an hour we've been in the car, and I'm like, alright, you gotta tell me where we're going. Like, I'm really like, this is really starting to freak me out. Like, where are we going? She's like, it's gonna be fun, and I'm like, alright, I trust you. So, it's been more than an hour. We have crossed state lines. Alright, by this point. And I'm like, where can we be going? So finally, she pulls up to this hotel off I-95. And in the lobby of this hotel, and in their, like, hall or whatever, is a sex convention. And this isn't, like, normal sex, like, this is real abnormal. Like, people were walking around in leather and chains, like, everyone was extremely scantily clad. They had very provocative, let's say, videos playing all over a bunch of TV screens. People were selling toys in the hotel rooms, and she's like, hey, isn't this fun? And I'm like, ah! Oh my god. So we stay there for like 2 hours, and she's like, oh, look at this thing, there's people there selling stuff. She buys this sex toy that is shaped like a squid's tentacle, alright? It's electric blue. It's an electric blue squid tentacle sex toy. She's like, isn't this fun? And I'm like, I am terrified right now. I didn't say it, I kept my cool. But inside I was screaming beyond comprehension. So anyway, after about 2 hours, she's like, alright, you ready to go? And I'm like, yes. So we drive home in absolute silence, an hour and 15 car ride. She drops me off, never talk to her again. Not friends with her on Facebook, no more contact. I go up to my female friend who set me up with her, and I'm like, what is wrong with you? And she says, what? She's like, that girl is insane, she took me to a sex convention. And she's like, oh, whoopsie. And that was the end.